أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Surah 78, An-Nabaa, the Tiding, Meccan period. Title. The surah's title is taken from verse 2, in which the expression An-Nabaa, the Tiding, occurs. Far from being a mere nominal title, this phrase encapsulates the surah's main theme, namely tidings of the last day and the hereafter. Therefore, the whole surah revolves round this subject matter. Period of revelation. As already indicated in the introduction to Surah Al-Mursalat, the group of surahs from Al-Qiyamah 75 to An-Nazi'at 79 addresses the same theme. These appear to have been revealed in the early part of the Meccan period. Subject matter and themes. As in Surah Al-Mursalat, this surah affirms the reality of the last day and the hereafter. It warns man against the consequences of rejecting this doctrine. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, commenced his call to the truth in Mecca, it rested on these doctrines. 1. Not to associate anyone with Allah in His divinity. 2. To accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger. And 3. To believe that the world will disintegrate on the last day. This will be followed by the resurrection of all the dead in their original bodies they had during their lives in this world. All this will mark the commencement of the hereafter. Everyone will be called to account regarding his or her beliefs and deeds. Those who had believed and performed good deeds will be sent to their eternal abode in paradise. Conversely, the unbelievers and evildoers will be consigned forever to hell. Of these three doctrines, the first was deeply resented by the unbelieving Meccans. Yet, they did not altogether deny the existence of God. In fact, they recognized Him as the Supreme Lord, Creator and Sustainer. They conceded that even those whom they took as God's partners were His creation. Their main objection to the doctrine of monotheism stemmed from their mistaken notion that their gods had a share in God's divinity and attributes. As for the doctrine of messengership, they refused to accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger. Yet, it was hard for them to dismiss him as a liar, fraudulent, or selfish person. He had, after all, spent 40 years of his life in their midst, day and night. So, on the contrary, they had regarded him all along for these 40 years of his pre-prophetic life as a mature, wise, and trustworthy person of impeccable character and conduct. Notwithstanding the plethora of allegations raised by them, these unbelieving Meccans found it hard to reconcile themselves to the idea that he was false in his claim to messengership. The doctrine of the hereafter was, however, the most problematic for the Meccans. When they came to learn of it, they dismissed it mockingly out of hand. For them, it was something implausible, rather unimaginable. Indeed, they projected it as incredible so as to discredit Islam. Nonetheless, if they were to be converted to Islam, it was essential that they believe in this doctrine. Without their conviction in the hereafter, they could not adopt a serious, sincere outlook on life, one that would enable them to distinguish truth from falsehood. The entire value system of good and evil is premised on the doctrine of the hereafter. In the absence of their belief in it, the Meccans could not give up their this worldliness, nor could they follow the way of Islam along the desired lines. Hence, the emphasis on the doctrine of the hereafter in the early Meccan surahs. In essence, these seek to instill a strong conviction in their hearts about life in the next world. Such arguments are adduced as reinforced belief in this article of faith. Arguments for the truthfulness of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger, and for the genuineness of the Quran as Allah's book, are also interspersed in these surahs. Having noted the rationale behind this emphasis on the doctrine of the hereafter in the surahs of the early Meccan period, let us now turn to the overall subject matter of this surah. First, mention is made of the ongoing discussions and whispering campaign in the alleys of Mecca regarding the concept of the hereafter. This is followed by posing these questions to the unbelievers. Do they not look at the earth spread by Allah like a bed for them? Do they not observe the high and mighty mountains fixed as pegs by Him? Do they not consider how He has created mankind in pairs as men and women? Do they not ponder over the phenomenon of sleep, which is a means of repose, reinvigorating them for work? Do they not reflect on why we need a few hours' sleep after work? Do they not note the alternation of day and night, which is perfectly suited for their needs? This is a regular, constant process whereby day is overtaken by night, which in turn is followed by day. Do they not think about the strong sky built above them? Do they not marvel at the sun, the source of heat and light for them? Do they not study the phenomenon of rain, of which its abundant water helps them grow grain and vegetation? Do these clear signs not underscore that the all-powerful Lord, who has brought all this into being, may not cause the last day and resurrect the dead? Does the perfection and wisdom underlying the working of the universe not convince them of a purpose behind creation? As each and every component of the universe is highly useful and purposive in its own right, the universe as a whole, too, has not been created as mere sport. It is patently silly to assume that while man may be invested with authority in this world, he may get away without recompense after his death. There must be reward and punishment for good and bad performance, respectively. After adducing these weighty arguments, it is asserted that the Day of Judgment is bound to happen at its appointed term. With one blow of the trumpet, the tidings of the last day will come true. Man is in no doubt free to accept or reject the doctrine of the hereafter. However, on the last day, all the dead, no matter where they lie, will appear in throngs in order to present their records. The unbeliever's rejection of the hereafter cannot avert this eventuality. Verses 21 to 30 clarify that the unbelievers who disregard divine recompense and belie divine signs will be called to account for their each and every deed. Hellfire has already been prepared for them. They will be recompensed in full for their misdeeds. Verses 31 to 36 relate the rewards to be showered upon the believers who, recognizing the truth of their accountability in the hereafter, felt concerned and did good. They are assured of rewards over and above what they deserve. The Surah's concluding part recounts the proceedings of the divine court. No one will, without Allah's leave, be able to intercede for anyone, let alone secure anyone else's deliverance. Those allowed to intercede will recommend the cases of only those about whom they have such permission. Moreover, they will not make any undue or unfair recommendation. Only the devotees of truth will be considered for intercession and pardon of their sins. Those who defied Allah and rejected the truth will not have any helper or supporter in the hereafter. This note of warning marks the Surah's conclusion that the last day is inevitable. It should not be thought of as a distant, remote possibility. Man is nonetheless free to select Allah's way or disregard this warning. In the latter eventuality, he will, however, face the dire consequences of his misdeeds. Then he will rue and wish that he had not been born. Remorsefully, he will curse the worldly pleasures to which he had been addicted.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ.
About what are they asking one another?
عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ.
Is about the awesome tiding
الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ.
that they are in utter disagreement.
1. The great news, the news of the resurrection and hereafter, which the people of Makkah heard with amazement, then raised questions and doubts about it in their assemblies. When they met each other they would ask, "Did you ever hear that the dead will be resurrected to life? Is it credible that life will be infused once again into the bones which have decayed and become rotten? Does it stand to reason that the former and the latter generations will rise up and gather together at one place? Is it possible that these huge mountains which are so firmly set in the earth will fly about like flakes of wool? Can it so happen that the sun and the moon and the stars should be extinguished, and the order and system of the world be overturned and upset? What has happened to him who was until yesterday a sane and wise man among us? Today he is giving us strange, impossible news. Where were this hell and heaven of which we had never heard from him before? Wherefrom have they appeared suddenly so that he has started depicting them so vividly before us? Another meaning of Fi-Hi Muktalifan also can be, as these people themselves have not agreed on any one view about the end of the world, they hold varying views about it. Someone has been influenced by the Christian belief and believes in the life after death but thinks that the second life would not be a physical but only a spiritual life. Another does not deny the hereafter absolutely but doubts whether it was possible or not. The Quran relates the view of these very people when it says, "We do only guess, we are not certain." Surah Al-Jathiyah, Ayat 32, and another plainly said, "There is no other life than this present life, and we shall never be raised back to life after our death." Surah 6, Al-An'am, Ayat 29. Then there were some atheists, who said, "Life is only this worldly life of ours. Here we shall die and live and nothing but the change of time destroys us." Surah Al-Jathiyah, Ayat 24. There were some others who were not atheistic but they regarded the second life as impossible. According to them it was beyond the power of God to raise the dead back to life. They said, "Who will give life to these bones when they are rotten?" Surah Yasin, Ayat 78. Their different views by themselves were a proof that they had no knowledge in this regard. They were only conjecturing and guessing. Had they any knowledge, they would have agreed on one view. For further explanation see N. 6 of Surah Ad-Dariyat. 1. The Great
كلا سيعلمون.
No, indeed. Soon will they come to know.
2. That is, whatever they say about the hereafter is false, and all their concepts about it are wrong. 3. That is, the time is not far off when the same thing about which they are expressing all sorts of meaningless doubts and misgivings will appear before them as a reality. Then they will realize that what the Messenger, peace be upon him, had foretold was absolutely true, and what they were saying on the basis of conjecture and speculation had no truth in it.
No, indeed. No, indeed here purports to negate the unbelievers' utterances concerning the hereafter, declaring them to be utterly false. The upshot of the expression no, indeed is that the concepts which the unbelievers entertain about the hereafter are all untrue.
ثم كلا سيعلمون.
Again, no, indeed, soon will they come to know.
ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا.
Have we not spread the earth like a bed?
4. Enough light has been thrown at several places in the meaning of the Quran on the supreme wisdom and power of Allah that underlies His making the earth a carpet, i.e., an abode of perfect peace and rest. For explanation see N.S. 73, 74, 81 of Surah An-Naml, E.N. 29 of Surah Yasin, E.N.S. 90, 91 of Surah Al-Mu'min, E.N. 7 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, E.N. 7 of Surah Al-Jathiyah, E.N. 18 of Surah Qaf.
وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا.
And fix the mountains like pegs.
5. For the wisdom of creating mountains on the earth, see N. 12 of Surah An-Nahl, E.N. 74 of Surah An-Naml, E.N. 15 of Surah Al-Mursalat.
وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا.
And created you in pairs as men and women.
6. For explanation of the supreme wisdom that underlies the creation of men and women into pairs, see N. 69 of Surah Al-Furqan, E.N.S. 28 to 30 of Surah Arum, E.N. 31 of Surah Yasin, E.N. 77 of Surah Ash-Shura, E.N. 12 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, E.N. 25 of Surah Al-Qiyamah.
وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا.
And made your sleep a means of repose.
7. The explanation of the wisdom for which Allah Almighty has placed a desire for sleep in man's nature in order to make him fit for work in the world, and which impels him to a few hours sleep after every few hours of work, has been given in E.N. 33 of Surah Arum.
وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا.
And made the night a covering.
وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا.
And made the day to seek livelihood.
8. That is, The night has been made dark so that protected from light, you could enjoy a peaceful sleep more easily, and made the day bright for the reason that you could work for your livelihood with greater ease and facility. Reference has been made to only one benefit out of countless benefits of the continuous alternation of night and day regularly on the earth to tell that all this is not happening without a purpose or accidentally, but there is supreme wisdom underlying it, which has a deep connection with your own immediate interests. The darkness that was needed for the peace and rest of your body in view of its structure has been provided in the night, and the light that was needed for earning livelihood has been provided in the day. This arrangement that has been made precisely in accordance with your needs by itself testifies that it could not be possible without the wisdom of a wise being. For further explanation, see N. 65 of Surah Yunus, E. N. 32 of Surah Yasin, E. N. 85 of Surah Al-Mu'min, E. N. 4 of Surah Az-Zukhruf.
وَبَنَيْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعًا شِدَادًا.
And built above you 7 strong firmaments.
9. Strong, in the sense that their boundaries are so strongly fortified that no change whatever occurs in them, nor does any of the countless stars and planets in the heavens, violating these boundaries, collide with the other, nor falls down to the earth. For further explanation, see N. 34 of Surah Al-Baqarah, E. N. 2 of Surah Al-Ra'd, E. N. S. 8, 12 of Surah Al-Hijr, E. N. 15 of Surah Al-Mu'minun, E. N. 13 of Surah Luqman, E. N. 37 of Surah Yasin, E. N. S. 5, 6 of Surah As-Safat, E. N. 90 of Surah Al-Mu'min, E. N. S. 7, 8 of Surah Qaf.
وَجَعَلْنَا سِرَاجًا وَهَّاجًا.
And placed therein a hot, shining lamp.
10. A bright, blazing lamp, the sun. The word wahaj used for the sun means both intensely hot and intensely bright, hence our rendering. In this brief sentence, allusion has been made to a most wonderful and glorious sign of Allah Almighty's power and wisdom which the sun is. Its diameter is 109 times that of the earth's, and its size more than 333,000 times that of the earth's. Its temperature is 14 million degrees Celsius. In spite of shining 93 million miles away from the earth, its light and brightness is dazzling, and man can look at it with the naked eye only at the risk of losing his eyesight. As for its heat, temperature in some parts of the earth reaches 140 degrees Fahrenheit because of its radiation. It is only Allah who by His wisdom has placed the earth at the right distance from it. Either it is too hot for being close to it, nor too cold for being very far away from it. For this very reason life of man, animal and vegetable became possible on it. Measureless treasures of energy from it are reaching the earth and sustaining life. It helps ripen our crops to provide sustenance to every creature. Its heat causes vapors to rise from the seas, which spread to different parts of the earth by means of the winds and fall as rain. In the sun Allah has kindled such a mighty furnace that has been constantly radiating light, heat and different kinds of rays throughout the entire solar system since millions and millions of years.
وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا.
And sent down abundant water from the clouds,
لِنُخْرِجَ بِهِ حَبًّا وَنَبَاتًا.
so that we may thereby bring forth grain and vegetation,
وَجَنَّاتٍ أَلْفَافًا.
and gardens dense with foliage.
11. For the details of the wonderful manifestations of Allah Almighty's power and wisdom in making arrangements for the rain and the growth of vegetation thereby, see N. 53a of Surah An-Nahl, E. N. 17 of Surah Al-Mu'minun, E. N. 5 of Surah Ash-Shu'ara, E. N. 35 of Surah Ar-Rum, E. N. 19 of Surah Fatir, E. N. 29 of Surah Yasin, E. N. 20 of Al-Mu'min, E. N. S. 10, 11 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, E. N. S. 28 to 30 of Surah Al-Waqiyah. After presenting a number of the signs and testimonies, one after the other, in these verses, the deniers of the resurrection and hereafter have been exhorted, so as to say, if you consider the earth and the mountains and your own creation, your sleep and wakefulness, and the system of the day and night intelligently, and consider the well-fortified system of the universe and the shining sun in the heavens, the rain falling from the clouds and the vegetables growing thereby, you will see two things very clearly. First, that all this could neither come into existence without a mighty power, nor continue to exist and function so regularly. Second, that in each of these great wisdom is working and nothing that happens here is purposeless. Now, only a foolish person could say that the being who by his power has brought these things into existence does not have the power to destroy them and create them once again in some other form. And this also could be said only by an unreasonable person, that the wise being who has not done anything without purpose in this universe has given to man in his world understanding and intelligence, discrimination between good and evil, freedom to obey or disobey, and powers of appropriation over countless of his creatures, without any purpose and design. Whether man uses and employs the things granted by him in the right way or the wrong way, it does not make any difference. Whether man continues to do good throughout life till death, he will end up in the dust, or continues to do evil till death, he will likewise end up in the dust. Neither the virtuous man will receive any reward for the good deeds, nor the bad man will be held accountable for his evil deeds. These very arguments for life after death and resurrection and hereafter have been given here and there in the Quran, e.g., c. n. 7 of Surah Al-Ra'd, e. n. 9 of Surah Al-Hajj, e. n. 6 of Surah Al-Rum, e. n. s. 10, 12 of Surah Saba, e. n. s. 8, 9 of Surah Az-Safat.
إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا.
Surely, the day of judgment has an appointed time.
يَوْمَ يُنفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا.
The day when the trumpet shall be blown, and you will come forth in multitudes.
12. This implies the final sounding of the trumpet, at which all dead men will rise back to life forthwith. You implies not only those who were the addressees at that time, but all those humans who will have been born from the beginning of creation till resurrection. For explanation, see n. 57 of Surah Ibrahim, e. n. 1 of Surah Al-Hajj, e. n. s. 46, 47 of Surah Yasin, e. n. 79 of Surah Az-Zumar.
وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا.
And when the sky shall be opened up and will become all doors.
وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا.
And the mountains will be set in motion and become a mirage.
13. One should bear in mind the fact that here also, as at many other places in the Quran, the different states of resurrection have been mentioned all together. In the first verse, mention has been made of what will happen at the final sounding of the trumpet, and in the following 2 verses of the state, which will appear at the second sounding of the trumpet. This we have already explained in e.n. 10 of Surah Al-Haqqa above. The heavens shall be open means, all obstacles in the heavens will be removed, and every heavenly calamity from every side will befall freely, as though all doors for it were open, and no door had remained closed to obstruct its happening. The mountains will be set in motion till they become as a mirage means. In no time will the mountains be uprooted from their places, and then will be scattered away in particles, leaving nothing but vast, empty sand plains behind. This same state has been described in Surah Taha. Thus, they ask you, well, where will the mountains go on that day? Say to them, my Lord will reduce them to fine dust and scatter it away. He will turn the earth into an empty level plain, wherein you will neither see any curve nor crease. Verses 105 to 107 and the corresponding e.n. 83.
إِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ كَانَتْ مِرْصَادًا.
Surely, the hell is an ambush.
14. An ambush, a place contrived to entrap game by surprise. Hell has been described as an ambush, because the rebels of God are fearless of it, and are enjoying life thinking that the world is a haven of bliss for them. They do not know that hell is lying in ambush for them, which will trap them suddenly and keep them trapped.
لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا.
A resort for the rebellious.
لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا.
Therein they shall abide for ages.
15. The word aqab as used in the original means successive periods of long time appearing continuously one after the other. From this word some people have tried to argue that there will be eternity in the life of paradise, but no eternity in the life of hell. For however long these ages may be, they will not be endless but will come to an end at some time. But this argument is wrong for two reasons. First, that lexically, the word Hakab, sing, of Akab, itself contains the meaning that one Hakab should be closely followed by another Hakab. Therefore, Akab will necessarily be used only for such periods of time as continue to appear successively one after the other, and there should be no period which is not followed by another period. Second, that as a rule it is wrong to put a meaning on a verse of the Quran pertaining to a particular theme which clashes with other statements of the Quran pertaining to a particular theme which clashes with other statements of the Quran pertaining to the same theme. At 34 places in the Quran the word khulud, eternity, has been used concerning the dwellers of hell. At 3 places not only the word khulud has been used but the word abadan, forever and ever, also has been added to it, and at 1 place it has been clearly stated, they will wish to get out of hell but shall not be able to come out of it, and there shall be an everlasting torment. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ayat 37. At another place it has been said, therein they shall abide forever, as long as the earth and the heavens shall last, unless your Lord ordains otherwise. And the same thing has been said about the dwellers of paradise too, they shall dwell in paradise forever, as long as the earth and the heavens shall last, unless your Lord wills something else. Hud, Ayats 107-108. After these explanations, how can one argue, on the basis of the word Aqab, that the stay of the rebels of God in hell will not be eternal, but it will come to an end at some stage in time?
Period following the other in succession.
لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا.
They shall taste in it no coolness, nor any pleasant drink.
إلا حميما وغساقا.
Save boiling water and wash of the wounds.
16. The word gasak is used in the original applies to pus, blood, and all those fluids that flow out from the eyes and skins as a result of a grievous penalty. Besides, this word is also used for a thing which stinks and gives out horrid, offensive smell.
جزاء وفاقا.
A befitting recompense for their deeds.
إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا.
For indeed, they did not look forward to any reckoning.
وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا.
And roundly denied our signs as false.
17. This is the reason for which they will deserve this dreadful penalty of hell. Firstly, they lived in the world thinking that the time will never come when they will have to appear before God and render an account of their deeds. Second, that they utterly refused to accept and acknowledge the revelations that Allah had sent through His prophets for their instruction and treated them as falsehood.
وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا.
And everything have we recorded in a book.
18. That is, we were continuously preparing a complete record of their sayings and doings, their movements and occupations, even of their intentions, thoughts and aims in life, and nothing was being left unrecorded, whereas the foolish people in their heedlessness thought that they were living in a lawless kingdom where they were free to do whatever they pleased and desired, and there was no power to call them to account.
فَذُوقُوا فَلَن نَّزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا.
So taste the fruit of your deeds. We shall only increase your torment.
إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَفَازًا.
Surely, the state of triumph awaits the God-fearing.
19. Here, the word righteous has been used in contrast to those who did not expect any accountability, and who had belied Allah's revelations. Therefore, this word inevitably implies those people who believed in Allah's revelations and lived in the world with the understanding that they had to render an account of their deeds ultimately.
حَدَائِقَ وَأَعْنَابًا.
Gardens and vineyards.
وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابًا.
And youthful maidens of like age.
20. This may mean that they will be of equal age among themselves as well as that they will be of equal age with their husbands. This same theme has already occurred in Surah Su'ad, Ayat 52, and Surah Al-Waqiyah, Ayat 37.
وكأسا دهاقا
And an overflowing cup.
لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا
Therein they shall hear no idle talk, nor any falsehood.
21. At several places in the Quran this has been counted as among the major blessings of paradise. Human ears there will remain secure against idle, false and indecent talk. There will be no nonsensical, meaningless gossiping in paradise. No one will tell lies nor belie others. Nor will there be any use of abusive language, slandering, calumnies and false accusations which are so common in the world. For further explanations see N. 28 of Surah Maryam, E. Ns 13:14 of Surah Al-Waqi'ah.
جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا
A recompense from your Lord and an ample reward.
22. A reward and generous gift, that is, they will not only be given their due rewards which they will deserve for their good deeds, but over and above these they will be given additional and generous gifts and prizes as well. Contrary to this, in respect of the dwellers of hell it has been said, they will be recompensed fully for their misdeeds. That is, they will either be punished less than what they will deserve for their crimes nor more. This theme has been explained at length at many places in the Quran. For example, see Surah Yunus, ayats 26-27, Surah An-Naml, ayats 89-90, Surah Al-Qasas, ayat 84, Surah Saba, ayats 33-38, Surah Al-Mu'min, ayat 40.
رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا
From the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and of that which is between them, the most merciful Lord, before whom none dare utter a word.
23. That is, the court of Allah Almighty will be so inspiring that no one, whether belonging to the earth or to the heavens, will dare open his mouth of his own will before Allah, nor interfere in the court's work and proceedings.
The most merciful Lord, before whom none dare utter a word. This refers to what will happen on the Day of Judgment, when all have been brought to the plain of gathering, and reckoning will be in progress. Awe will overwhelm everyone, so much so that none, whether they dwell on earth or heavens, will be able to utter a word in God's presence, nor will they dare to interfere in the reckoning to which all will be subject.
يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا
The day when the Spirit and the angels are ranged row on row, none shall speak save he whom the merciful Lord will permit, and he too will speak what is right.
24. According to most commentators, the Spirit implies the angel Gabriel, who has been mentioned separately from the angels because of his high rank and position with Allah. For further explanation see N. 3 of Surah Al-Marij. 25. To speak, to intercede, an intercession has been made conditional upon two things. 1. That the person who is granted permission by Allah to intercede for a sinner will alone be allowed to intercede and for the particular sinner only. 2. That the intercessor will say only what is right and proper, and nothing derogatory, and the one for whom he is interceding should have at least acknowledged the truth in the world. That is, he should only be a sinner, not an unbeliever. For further explanation see N. 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah, E. N. 5 of Surah Yunus, E. N. 106 of Surah Hud, E. N. 52 of Surah Maryam, E. Ns 85, 86 of Surah Taha, E. N. 27 of Surah Al-Anbiya, E. Ns 40, 41 of Surah Saba, E. N. 32 of Surah Al-Mu'min, E. N. 63 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, E. N. 21 of Surah An-Najm, E. N. 36 of Surah Al-Mudaththir.
ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا
That day is sure to come, So let him who will seek a resort with his Lord.
إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا يَوْمَ يَنظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنتُ تُرَابًا.
Lo, we warn you of a chastisement near at hand, the day when a man will look on what his own hands have sent forth, and the unbelievers shall say, Oh, would that I were utter dust.
26. Apparently, one might think that the people who were the audience of this verse died 14 centuries ago, and even now it cannot be said how many hundreds or thousands or millions of years resurrection will take to come. Then, in what sense has it been said the torment of which you have been warned has approached near at hand? And what is the meaning of saying in the beginning of the surah, soon they shall know? The answer is that man can have the feeling of time only until he is passing a physical life in the world within the bounds of space and time. After death, when only the soul will survive, he will lose every feeling and consciousness of time. And on the day of resurrection, when man will rise back to life, he will feel as though someone had aroused him from sleep suddenly. He will not at all be conscious that he has been resurrected after thousands of years. For further explanation, see N. 26 of Surah An-Nahl, N. 56 of Surah Bani Israel, N. 80 of Surah Taha, N. 48 of Surah Yasin. 27. Would that I were mere dust! Would that I had not been born in the world, or had become mere dust after death, and thus reduced to nothingness.